Today's AskReddit post. What are some very creepy facts? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers. Well, that escalated quickly. If Reddit has taught me anything, it's that necrophilia is inevitable. After getting stung by a cone snail, you don't feel the sting for a little bit. There is no antivenom and it can be lethal. Treatment is basically keeping the victim alive until the venom wears off. Cone snails are pretty freaky. Some of the most deadly ones can kill you in 30 minutes or less after they sting you. Their shells are super pretty too, so any beachcomber should be aware of these creatures and know how to pick up a shell carefully just in case someone might still be inside. When you happen to be murdered, there is only an about 40% chance that your murderer will be found and punished. Edit. A lot of people are asking which country I'm referring to. This is a worldwide approximation. There are obviously countries with higher percentages of solved murder cases, but also some with even lower. For example, in the US there is a 40% chance to get away with murder. In Mexico 90% to get away with it. Organized crime. The overall amount of crimes in that area and war plays a huge role in this. Thanks for the encouragement. Blobfish in its natural habitat looks like a normal fish, but it lives so deep underwater that it doesn't use a normal gas bladder to keep itself balanced. Instead, it has a spongy skin that is slightly less dense than water, which becomes damaged and bloated when fishermen bring it up too quickly. It's not really the ugliest fish. It has just experienced something worse than one of us being thrown into outer space. Between sea level and space, there's 1 atmospheric pressure of difference. Between sea level and 2,000 feet underwater, their upper limit, there's 60 atmospheres of difference. Now I'm sad for the blobfishes. One reason that crows and ravens are associated with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being both carrion birds and extremely intelligent, they realized that a large group of armed men marching on one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal of corpses to eat soon afterwards. That's actually pretty neat. I'd like to subscribe to Crow Facts, thanks. If you begin to display symptoms of rabies, you will go crazy and die. There's no cure. Your brain will slowly melt until you're dead. The second you get bitten by anything, you should literally speed to the hospital. Serial killer Richard Chase took any unlocked door as an invitation to come inside. This is the example I use every time my husband keeps the door unlocked. In the US, if someone is kidnapped and not found within about a day, then there is a 97% chance the kidnapped person is dead, and 3/4 of them are killed within the first 3 hours of their abduction. That's why it's so important to go the police right away, and for the cops to actually act immediately instead of waiting 2, 4, 8, 7, 2 hours. Edit. I'm not sure where that myth of wait X hours to notify the police came from, but I've heard so many missing persons cases where the police wouldn't act for a day or two unless there was serious evidence of foul play because they're an adult and it's not illegal for an adult to go missing, or the teenager is with friends somewhere, or they're a runaway. Children under the age of 12 always get priority, but older ones tend to come with excuses. Valuable time wasted leads to valuable lives wasted, comma. Men who are hanged get a death erection, known as rigor erectus. Pretty awkward for the family, I assume. This is the one time I'd advocate using hung instead of hanged. They said you were hung, and they were right. Crocodiles can gallop like a horse. I don't like knowing this, so I am cursing you people with this knowledge as well. Fortunately alligators cannot, so that's how you tell them apart. Yeah, but now I'm confused how to tell a horse and crocodile apart. There's a parasite that enters a fish's mouth, eats the tongue and replaces itself as the fish's new tongue. As a fish, there isn't a cure and it sucks. I keep saying stuff I don't mean to say, like talking head. Tarantulas can swim. I'm afraid to Google this. I just did. Looked pretty cool. Fucker was huge. When creating the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, they couldn't create skeletons that looked realistic enough. So they used real human skeletons. They've since removed all of them except one. The skull that's over the bed is real. My favorite ride. Damn. That'd have been one of the last ones I guessed. It looks so weirdly elongated. I guess I'm used to fake skulls in movies and such, so the real one looks off. If you live to age 70 you will have shed around 105 pounds of skin. Edit. Because most seem confused. I mean over time, not all at once. That would be terrible. Cool. At least there's one thing to look forward to when I'm 70. Can't wait to freak everyone out when it happens. Make sure to have a huge party and give a speech right before it happens. Like Bilbo before he put on the ring to freak everyone out. Ducks become cannibals due to boredom. Of all ducking reasons, they can only be stopped by cutting off their mouths. Don't duck with ducks. Quack is whack. It was once discovered that a fir tree was growing inside a human body. Artem Sidorkin went to the doctors suspecting something wrong with his lungs. The doctors thought they were dealing with a tumor, but turns out he had inhaled a fir tree seed which had sprouted and had begun growing in his lungs. Edit. Wow, so Grey's Anatomy is a popular show. I'm sure this was the inspiration for that episode. He also had a watermelon and a gum tree in there. He had his belly button stapled shut cause he unknotted it as a kid. Cockroaches have been recorded eating human flesh, both living and dead, as well as fingernails, eyelashes, feet, and hands. The American cockroach and German cockroach are more likely to bite humans than other species. Pretty sure Australian cockroaches do something equally creepy, but as an Australian who plans to sleep at some point in the future, I'm not going to Google it. There are many studies that show they don't like human contact and will clean themselves rigorously if they touch us. Our skin is very oily and can suffocate the breathing holes in their carapace. There was a speech made for Apollo 11 if they were to die on the moon. Side fact, if it were to happen, people would look up at the moon knowing that that crew died there, and their bodies would rest there till the end of time. Not forgetting that the ocean is somewhat like this. Many people died there too, at the very depths of the sea. Also, their bodies would not have decomposed because the moon has no oxygen. Instead they would become mummies. Ancient Egyptians hate him. People don't take their antimalarial drugs when they travel because they hear bad stories about the side effects and they see native people in the areas living okay without taking pills every day. The truth is, populations native to malaria endemic areas have all passed through pretty intense natural selection for survival and have a host of genes that prevent them from dying or suffering the other worst effects. Also, most of the resistance is built up over time. This is why it's most common for children to die rather than adults. Whatever people have heard about the side effects of the antimalarials, getting it is so much worse. I, fortunately, have never had it, but I study it as part of my work and people have told me about having it and they all say the same thing. It is so awful you can't believe you're even still alive. It comes in cycles, usually 48 hours, and each cycle is agonizing and brings you the brink of death. Sometimes it takes you, sometimes it spares you for another few hours until it starts again, and there are forms that, even if you clear the infection with drugs, it still remains dormant in your system and can come back at any time. Edit. I don't want to freak people out too much. There are drug combinations that can kill every stage of the parasite as long as there is no drug resistance. It's quite common after you die to burp a lot as you have more gas buildup. Dead bodies can also sit up on their own sometimes. Also, if a pregnant lady dies, sometimes the gas buildup in the body as it decomposes forcefully pushes the baby out. Thanks, I hate it. Mount Everest is covered in frozen corpses because removing them is very unsafe and time consuming. They are easily viewed from the climbing routes and some are used as trail markers. Turn up green boots. I'm simultaneously impressed and disturbed at the fact that I know exactly who you're talking about. Most people smell different when they're awake. That's my favorite thing to whisper. I just whispered this to my wife. She thought it was creepy. There are upwards of 300 active serial killers in the world. Seems low honestly. 300 is a lot, but out of 8 billion, famous last words though, known to be active. Think about how many people go missing and are never found. Imagine being totally aware of someone performing CPR but you physically can't move or respond. Well, that's what happens when you get bitten by a blue-ringed octopus. You have approx 6 minutes between being bitten and someone starting CPR to keep your heart and lungs functioning to ensure you survive, all whilst being totally aware of what is happening to you. Neurotoxins are fun. The really creepy thing about this is one story of a guy who got stung, got CPR performed on him and survived, but went blind because he was lying on his back, eyes open, unable to blink because of the paralysis, staring into the sun. Imagine lying there, unable to move, unable to communicate, the sun slowly burning out your eyes and you can't shut them. Dolphins are ducking monsters, and although this one isn't as creepy as other comments, but gangs of male dolphins can trap a female, slap her around with their tails, and forcibly duck her for weeks. Dolphins are ducked up, man. They also kill calves so the female will become fertile faster. And they also practice killing calves by killing young porpoises and seals. Or maybe that's just for fun. Human brains when they dry out smell like cat piss, that stinky ammonia smell. Worked in for 17 years in CT. Had a gunshot to the head come in and a chunk fell onto my shoe and didn't notice. While driving home was like, WTF, did my cat piss in the car or something? Went to take my shoes off and there is was. Edit for all you people with morbid curiosity. Fresh brains look like cream cheese mixed with strawberry jam. Edit 2. No, they died. Trans life harvested organs. Hey buddy, I think you stepped in some brain matter. A single tiger has killed over 436 people in India. How many has a married tiger killed? Sense of impending doom is an actual symptom that often precludes your death, usually in cases of heart attack. Very creepy for some of us that suffer from anxiety and panic attacks to begin with. Both share that symptom. I have a heart condition, and sometimes I'll feel a weird beat. Then I will feel that horrible sense of impending doom. It is such a horrible feeling. They used real corpses in the 1982 film Poltergeist for the ending pool scene. The actress did not know until after the scene was filmed. Not just Poltergeist, but up until the last few decades actual skeletons and bodies were used in Hollywood productions simply because it was cheaper than hiring prop guys to do it. Any old movie you watch, chances are the skeletons are real because you could saunter into any old medical supply store and buy a whole disused skeleton from a university medical department for a reasonable price. Skeleton is okay, but actual human bodies are creepier. There's a spider that gives you a 3H long boner before you die from its bite. Edit. The boner it gives you is very painful. If it bites you, you might as well dick slap it into next week. So I need to pretend I'm a masturbating elephant? Some species of spiderlings eat their mothers alive. Can confirm. I ate my mother. Are you a Chimerahan king? CNN has had a pre-recorded broadcast from the 90s which they will premiere during the end of the world. I guess we'll be seeing that soon. Something to look forward to. Hey, silver lining. There are more creatures in your mouth than there are people on Earth. There are more cells of foreign creatures in and on your body than there are of your own cells. How TF is that true? The astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger most likely didn't die until they hit the water miles below the initial explosion. Pigs will eat anything. There are stories of pigs entering farmhouses and eating newborn humans. I like the fact that you say newborn humans instead of babies, lol. Edit. Spelling. I once read that you should play dead if a bear attacks you. Unless they start licking your wounds because that means they plan to eat you. That still haunts me to this day. Edit. If it helps, I'm pretty sure I was reading about grizzly bears at the time during one of my fevered grizzly man rabbit holes. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, grizzly, lie down. And if it's white, say goodnight. More than 7,000 people die annually due to the doctor's bad handwriting. The doctor needs to start typing or something. Ridiculous. I'm a pharmacy tech. We have this one arsehole doctor who constantly prescribes opioid medications but has the handwriting worse than a kindergartner. We have asked him to e-scribe. Not only did he refuse, he yelled at us for questioning his intelligence. Anything to do with parasitic wasps. I was thinking parasitic spores. Even creepier what ducking spores can do. In the Czech Republic, there is a church called the Sedlec Ossuary that has decorations made entirely of human bones. This happened because there were too many people in the cemetery to bury everyone, and the church leaders claimed that if their bones became part of the church, it only made them closer to God. Nice propaganda spin there. Guys, I've been there. It's not creepy at all. Although I was 10. But I thought it was pretty cool. Jeffrey Dahmer tried to make intercourse zombies out of some of his victims by drilling holes in their heads while they were still alive and pouring acid into the holes. That's not how you make zombies. Yep, why did he think that would work? After raping his blindfolded victims, the Golden State Killer would be super duper quiet and pretend like he was gone, and right when the poor victims would start to move towards the phone or try to untie themselves, he would scare the ducking poop out of them. After listening to the many hours of his crimes being listened in court today, this is just a cherry on the horrible cake that is D'Angelo. Every year you live through the future anniversary of your death. Edit. Didn't expect this to blow up. Now people hate me. Not if I die on the 29th of February, you son of a bitch. Eventually there will be more dead people on Facebook than alive. Wow, thanks for the award. Unborn babies have a layer of hair around them to regulate body temperature, called lanugo. They shed it, eat it, then poop it out after birth. Edit. Wow, thanks for the upvotes. I was trying to get some comment karma so I could post my GoFundMe on a separate Reddit. Now I can. Grinning face with wide eyes. People who are anorexic can also develop lanugo. It's the body's last ditch effort to keep itself warm enough to function after it has lost its fat layers. This really saddens me for some reason. It shouldn't be a necessary function, but here it is. And I think the body is very glad to have kept it. You're more likely to be murdered by someone you know than a stranger, and the child molester is much more likely to already be in your house than lurking at the playground. An elephant masturbates by slapping its penis on itself. Don't we all? The men of the ship is intercourse, the true event that inspires the story Moby Dick, avoided islands after being shipwrecked for fear of cannibals. The islands were settled and landing there would have brought salvation to the survivors. Ironically, because of this bypass, the men ran out of food and were forced to eat each other for survival. You know what's even creepier? 2 of the sailors were later rescued by an American ship. They were alone at sea for so long and had to cannibalize their crewmates to survive. When they saw their rescuers, they immediately stashed bones in their pockets. They didn't seem to care that they were rescued. They were obsessed with the bones of their fallen crewmates, so they can suck on the bone marrows. Even after they were on board the ship, they refused to depart from the bones and would even attack anyone who would come close. If you stifle a sneeze, there's a chance you can damage organs in your head, including eye blood vessels, rupturing your eardrums, and possibly rupture a brain aneurysm, which means there's a small chance stifling a sneeze can kill you. Better to be the loud ass with the sneeze that can be heard around the world than a dead loud ass cause someone told you to stifle that sneeze. Chicken are so dumb they can accidentally peck each other, and if one of them feels meat in the other chicken, then all chickens will peck that chicken to death and eat it. My great grandma used to have chicken and pigs in her backyard. Until one day the pig actually ate one of the chicken and only left the feet. Chicken tastes so good even chicken can't resist chicken. Whoa, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.